You're listening to the Hot Point Podcast, a commentary on all the hot points of life, hosted by Opiemi Omojafo.
Hello and welcome back to the Hot Point Podcast. Today's episode is going to be a bit short because I've decided this will be the last episode for this season for a while. So I'm going to be taking a break and focusing on other things like my YouTube channel, trying to put out more videos, and hopefully I'll be able to set up a schedule where I can be posting videos and podcasts at the same time. But right now, I just want to take a break from podcasts to focus on my YouTube channel. But we will be back for season 2 of the Hot Point Podcast. So, what's the hot point for this week? Well, I just wanted to talk about why I made the decision about a year and a half ago, maybe it's 2 years now, to only read books by Black female authors. So yeah, I mean, I haven't really stuck to the whole only reading books by Black female authors because it's harder than I thought it was. I used to read a lot of books back in the day, and I used to read all the time. I had a spot that I used to go to in the Starbucks near my house, and there was this one chair that I would sit in, especially during summer and during sunset. It was just so beautiful, and the sun would just be shining through the window, and it would warm me up. I'd love to sit there and read all the time. So I haven't been able to do that. So I found reading books to be harder, not being able to be in an environment where I can just feel relaxed and feel like all I can do is just read. So yeah, I have a lot of books by Black female authors, but I also have a lot of books, but most of my books altogether are just by Black people. So for me, as long as it's by a Black person, that's fine. I will read it, but I prefer to read books by Black female authors, with the exception, of course, of The Devil Wears Prada. I just had to make an exception for that book. So I haven't really been strict to the only reading Black authors rule that I made 2 years ago. And the reason I decided to do this was because obviously going to British schools, and I grew up loving English and in British schools, and I went to and I studied English literature in sixth form. The books that we read were by white men, and any books that we read that were by women were white women, and we only ever looked at one piece of literature or book that was by a Black woman, and it was by Maya Angelou, and we all know what book that was. So I decided in sixth form, I think it was sixth form, yeah, that's 2 years ago, I decided to make the decision, I'm only doing books by Black female authors, or just, I'm going to try to do books by Black female authors, but as long as they're Black authors, I don't mind. So that's when I started buying up Black books, researching Black books that I would like to read, and I made my book list. I don't know where that book list is now, but I need to get back to it and see what needs to be read and what I need to order. But I need to make a rule where I don't order a new book until I at least get halfway through the book I'm reading, or I finish the book. So for my sixth form English coursework, we had to choose 2 books and 1 poem that we had to read and write a sort of dissertation essay about. And I chose all Black female authors. I didn't even realize until like a while after I chose the authoresses. I don't know if that's the right word to use. It's the authoresses. I heard Maya from Girlfriends call herself an authoress, and I didn't know that that was like the female version of author. So I'm trying to like incorporate that into my language. But yes, I chose all Black authoresses, and I chose obviously Maya Angelou. I can't remember what book I chose. I chose Maya Angelou, and I chose Maya Angelou's poem, her poem book. No, I didn't. What did I choose Maya Angelou? I think I chose Why the Caged Bird Sings, that book by Maya Angelou to dissect. I also chose Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I hope I said her name right. Just mind, I even have her book right here with me. Oh no, I don't. I packed it away. But yes, I chose Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. My bad. So I chose her, and I chose Americana That book is amazing. It's really good. I actually stole that from school. Please don't come for me. I will return that book one day. I just forgot to give it back, and the pandemic happened. And what else did I choose? I also chose Intozak Shang, and she wrote the poem slash book for colored girls. And I actually got to know about her because I watched Tyler Perry's rendition of her book slash poem for colored girls, the movie, and the emotions that were riled up in me was just mad. Like, you need to watch that movie. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Tyler Perry because of his portrayal of Black women and his his affinity with colorism. I don't understand, but yeah, you need to watch that movie. It's called For Colored Girls. I think it's by Tyler Perry. I'm not sure, but it's got Janet Jackson in it and a couple other people. And I fell in love with that story in that movie, like the story that's told in that movie. And I found out that it came from a book by the woman named Intozak Shang, and it was actually a poem slash theatre performance. It was a poem, then it got turned into a theatre performance, and then it got turned into a book, and then it got turned into a movie. So I did the research on that, and I decided to dissect the poem form for my coursework. And it was actually my teacher that brought up the fact, you've chosen all Black female writers. And I was like, yeah, I did. And I was so like happy that I did that unconsciously because it made me realize that I'm growing as a person. Like, I'm developing my own styles and taste, and I'm pro everything Black. So it just made me even more happy that I chose books by Black authors, female Black authors. So that's what I chose to do in sixth form. And from that point on, that's when I was like, yeah, only Black female writers, but as long as they're Black, we can still, go with that. And I think it's important to read as a Black child, as a Black person growing up and woman growing up in the UK. I know there's not a lot of us here in the UK. Like, there's about 4% of us. 4% of the population is Black, and 3% of that population, and 3% of the 4% is in London. So it's very important that, because I know the schools won't teach us Black authors, they won't teach us books written by Black people. So we have to teach ourselves, and we have to teach our children that we have that duty. So I'm glad I took that initiative to research and look for books that were written by other Black people and women that I could relate to and see myself in. Because the only books that we were reading and dissecting in class was, Percy Bysshe Shelley, all them man there that did, what's that thing called that we did in sixth form? I'm trying to remember. Dracula, The Monk, Frankenstein, like those people. I forgot their names. Mary Bysshe, I don't know, but all those white authors, like, they made amazing books. They did amazing things. People like Shakespeare, like, they did amazing things for the culture. But yes, it's good to know that, but I also want to know about my culture, and it's annoying and it's frustrating that I won't get to learn about my culture, and I'll be so oblivious to my culture unless my parents take that initiative to teach me, or I take that initiative myself and go out to educate myself. So I hope those that are listening to this is the sign that you need to go research more Black authors, research more Black things, and learn about your culture. Not just, like, say, because I'm a Nigerian, I don't just limit myself to learning small things here and there about Nigerian culture. I like to learn things about other cultures, other Black people's experiences. I think is important for our social economic growth as Black people. Did that make sense? I don't know. But anyway, so let me just read out some of the books that I have in my hand right now. These are the books that I have out, like, in my view, in my room. I have a lot of other books, but they are packed away in my little memory box that I just still need to get to. But the books that I have out right now, most of them, actually, no, only two of the books I have out right now are by Black female authors. And then the other two more are about the Black experience, and then one is about the female experience. Let me just tell you what books I have. So my sister got me actually 3 of these books that I have out. I have 6 out. She got me The Suffragettes, and it's part of the Penguin Classics collection. So they're like mini tiny books about various things. I don't know what the theme is that they went with to like create this collection of books, but this book was about the suffragette movement, and they told the story of the suffragette movement through like articles and news clippings and diary entries that they've recorded, and they told the suffragette movement through that. And I think it's really cool. I need to finish reading that. It's only about 52 pages, and it's a really tiny book. I know it's not by, who's it by? So I guess it's just part of the Penguin collection. I know it's not by a black author, black female author, but I think it's important to know about the suffragette movement because as a black woman, it still benefited me. Not as much as white women. We're not going to sugarcoat that, but it still benefited me. Another book I have is also part of the Penguin Modern collection, and it's the 28th one. If you understand what I'm saying, then you can look for it on what's it called? You can look for it on Amazon because I think that's where my sister got the books from the Penguin collection, and it's called Africa's Tarnished Name by Chinua Achebe. I have another one of his books that he wrote, and that one is, I always get confused with fiction and non-fiction. I think it's fiction. He wrote a fiction book. That's the one I have by him. And I forgot what it's called, but I'll be reading that soon. He's obviously black. I don't know what this book is about, so I'm going to read the blurb at the back. And it says, electrifying essays on the history of complexity and appropriation of a continent from the father of modern African literature. Okay, so it's also another small book and it doesn't have that many pages, so I can't wait to get to reading that. And this is the last one from the Penguin collection that my sister got me, and this is the number one book from the Penguin collection. This book is by Martin Luther King, and it's called Letter from Birmingham Jail. And the blurb reads, This landmark missive. Can I read? I don't know. I'm going to give this my best shot. This landmark missive from one of the greatest activists in history calls for direct, non-violent resistance in the fight against racism and reflects on healing the power of love. Again, it sounds like another great book, obviously from Black man's perspective. I don't think the Penguin books were written by Black people, but a lot of them tried to portray the Black experience of her figurehead, if that makes sense. The book I'm actually reading right now, I'm taking so long to read. I don't know I'm taking so long to read this book, but it's called My Sister, the Serial Killer. Great book. I'm really enjoying it. It's amazing. It's fantastic. And it's written by Oyinkan Braithwaite. I'm so bad. I'm sorry if I butchered the name, but that's how I'm pronouncing it. This book is amazing, and obviously this woman that wrote, she's Nigerian, and all the characters in the book are Nigerian, and it's based in Nigeria. And it's just an amazing book. As a young Black Nigerian girl, part of the diaspora in London, Nigerian diaspora in London, this book is just amazing for me to read because I know it's set in Nigeria and it's about, my sister, the serial killer, so you can kind of infer what the book is about. I just love reading this because it's given me insight on Nigerian things that I didn't know about, that my parents couldn't tell me about because they're not from the same generation as me. So the generation I'm from in Nigeria, they have their own sort of way of doing things and stuff. And my parents can't tell me about that, and I'm learning things from reading this book, even though it is fiction, so it's made up. I hope it's made up. I'm still oh, this is cool. I didn't know they did this stuff, interesting stuff for me to read. So I'm really reading this book. I think everyone needs to get this book. So again, it's called My Sister, the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite. I will try link this book down below because this is one book I think you should get. I'm not going to read the blurb because it's awfully long. But yeah, it's a really good book. I actually spoiled my book. I have the paperback. I spoiled it because I spilt water on it. I know I'm so bad, but I'm really enjoying that. I'm halfway through the book. Yeah, and another book. Oh, that is obviously by a Black female author. So, whoop, that's one ticked off the list. Wow, I made a rule and I've only followed it with one book. I need to do better. And of course, this book. I read the first page, but I'm saving it. I need to finish reading My Sister, the Serial Killer before I delve into this book that I'm holding right here in my hands right now, because all I'm going to say is Sunday Times bestseller by Rennie Edo-Lodge. Why I'm no longer talking to white people about race. Y'all just take that in for a second. Why I'm no longer talking to white people about race. And if you've seen this book, you know what the cover looks like. And it's just wow, energy, give it to them. I'm loving it. I've heard really good reviews about this book. And just the title alone makes me want to read it. And just reading the first page. Obviously I read, the little bits you get before you get into a book. like the author's note or the author's like address to the reader, all that fun stuff there. I read that, and obviously I read the first book of the page, and I looked at the contents, and I'm awfully excited for this book. Like this one right here, I can already tell I'm just going to be relating to this book the whole time I'm reading it. I'm going to be doing my little clicks, my little snaps, like, yes, girl, tell them. But yeah, let me read what it says on the back. So these are some quotes from, what's it called? Reviewers. So it says, a wake-up call to a nation in denial by the Observer. Yes. Eye-opening, honest, opinionated, and pretty kick-ass. That's from Elle. And a revelation undoubtedly essential from the Spectator. So just from those like review, just from those quotes from reviews, you just know this book it's an important one. And I am going to read the blurb for this one because it's not too long, and I want you guys to be as excited about this book as I am. So the blurb reads, the book that sparked a national conversation exploring everything from eradicated Black history to inextricable... I'm sorry, this word stumps me. Exploring everything from eradicated Black history to inextricable... Once again, it stumped me. Hold on one second. Okay, I got it. Guys, pray for me. So, pray for my reading and my literature because I'm falling off. But I'm going to get back on. Exploring everything from eradicated Black history to an inextricable link between class and race. Why I'm no longer talking to white people about race is the essential handbook for anyone who wants to understand race relations in Britain today. So yeah, does that not just sound vital, important, and exciting? This is an exciting read. It's a good read. I know it's a good read, but I ain't read it yet. But I know it's a good read. Yeah, that word, inextricable. The grammar is there. Amen. And obviously this last book that I'm reading, The Devil Wears Prada, but this is the second book from the collection. So I know The Devil Wears Prada has, it's a 3-book collection. And the first Devil Wears Prada is the one that the movie is made about. So the one with the red heel and the like devil's Poseidon horn. That's the one that the movie's made about. And obviously read the movie. I kind of skimmed through the book because I'm like, I just want to know the extra things that they didn't give me in the movie. And it was a good read, a good skim read. So I got the second book from the 3-book edition, and this one is called Chasing Harry Winston, which is by Lauren Weisberger. And I'm excited to read this book. I'm so annoyed with myself because I'll get all these books and I'll be like, oh, I haven't read this book yet, so I need to read this book before I can start reading this book. But what I used to do before, I used to start reading 5 different books at the same time and just continue reading all different 5 separate books. And so I just finished one. And that's how I did it. And it worked for me until my life got a bit more hectic. And I was like, I can't be doing this. It needs to be 1 book at a time. I need to get myself together. But yeah, those are just some of the books that I have out in my eye view that I want to read straight away. And then once I read those, I'll rotate them with the books that I have packaged away, and I'll get to reading those. I think the books that I have packaged away, those ones are the ones that are actually by Black authors. So the ones I have out are just mainly white authors, or I'm not sure who the author is, but I'm guessing it's white authors. But yeah, reading, it's essential to study things and look at things that are made by people that look like you and that come from your culture, because if you can see it, you can do it. If you see it, you believe it, I'm sounding a bit corny, but does it not make sense? Like, I know I'm gonna sound a bit corny right now, but I wanted to like model and I wanted to get into that fashion industry, and I never really thought that could be me. But seeing people like Naomi Campbell and Tara Banks, even though she's a blessed person, and seeing like America's Next Top Model and seeing all those models on that show and them doing their thing, it just gave me hope, like, yeah, I can do this. And then seeing other short models, because for a model I'm quite short, seeing other short models, it gave me that kind of hope that, oh, maybe I can do this. Obviously every now and again I doubt, but if they can do it, I can do it. Seeing someone that looks like me with a darker, richer skin tone than me doing what I want to do, like, I can do that. So, and you know what these people are like with colorism, so it just gave me hope, like, okay, they're not going to say I'm too dark, they're not going to say I have to, maybe they might say that, but it won't stop me. But yeah, so seeing people do things, seeing people that look like you do things, like writing books, because I love literature. And I remember in year 8 or year 9, I attempted to write a book. It's still in my archives. I'm going to go back to that because I was on something. I was like, what, 13, 14, attempting to write a book. I was on something. I need to get back to that and, finish that, because the book I was even writing about, I know that idea could be big, but yeah, just seeing all these other people writing literature, fiction and non-fictional, just gives me hope that, this is something I can do. Like, and I just love reading things that my people have done. It just makes me feel good. So Black literature for the win. Literature for the win, but Black literature for the win. Support your people, support Black businesses. And yeah, this is the last episode for this season. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope I didn't waffle too much or confuse you guys too much, because I tend to do that. So yes, thank you for listening. Share your favorite book in the comments down below. Let me know your favorite book, and I will see you when I see you. Bye.
You're listening to the Hot Point Podcast, a commentary on all the hot points of life, hosted by Opiemi Mujafo.